Today's show is sponsored by author Kimberly R. Jasper, The Evolution of Stella Monroe. You can purchase directly from her. Follow her on Instagram at krjasperwrites by clicking the link in her bio, or visit her website at krjasperwrites.square.site. And that again, that is KRJASPERWRITES, KR Jaspers Writes, to get her new book, The Evolution of Stella Monroe. Now, today's show, I have my guest expert here with me today. She is a national and international award-winning author. Toneal Jackson, she is a speaker, publisher, and AWE inspiring coach. She has written over 10 books. She is the founder and creator of APS. She is also the 2019 recipient of the Change Nations International Award, Women Who Add Value. Welcome to the podcast, Toneal.
Thank you so much for having me, Ms. Latrice. Thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome, and congratulations on that recent honor. That is beautiful.
Yeah, I really, I was so honored just to be considered, and it was really awesome. We had to go, I believe we were in Kansas or Missouri. I think we were in Kansas for that. I don't even remember. It was back in September, but just, to be considered for a recipient of the I Change Nation Awards. I mean, like, you never really think of what you're doing to be on that type of a level, but for someone else to recognize you, it was really an honor.
That's awesome. Now, I want to find out a little bit about the AWE Aspiring Coach. How did you discover this path, and elaborate a little bit what AWE is?
Absolutely. So it's All Inspiring Coach. So AWE stands for Authors, Women, and Entrepreneurs. And so, as a person in business, I always tell people to know who your target market is. And so over the course of the last decade, that's really what I've discovered, that my target audience are authors, women, and entrepreneurs. So through my organization, APS, or Artists Promoting Success, I help authors and entrepreneurs. And then I recently founded an organization called I'm Glad to Be a Woman last year. And so that's where the women come in. And so it's really just been all working together, where God has allowed this to transpire. So that AWE, as an all-inspiring coach, what I do is I help authors, women, and entrepreneurs to realize their dreams and walk in their purpose.
Okay, I like that. That's beautiful. So now I know I read on your website as well. You said you have life assistance for women on AWE, on All Inspiring Coach. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So that kind of plays under the I'm Glad to Be a Woman organization, right? And so kind of what I tell people is APS and I'm Glad to Be a Woman is what I do. And being an all-inspiring coach, that's who I am. And so what I have found is that many women, we just need encouragement. We need empowerment. We need to have an ear and an unbiased support system, right? So a lot of times, and especially the women that's in my organization, we are typically leaders. So whether it's leaders in the world, whether it's leaders in the church, or just leaders in your personal lives, in your homes, and being leaders, that means that we're typically everybody's go-to. And what happens as a result of that is we spend so much time pouring out that we don't have many people pouring back into us, right? And so it's like, so through the organization, I'm Glad to Be a Woman, we just offer that support support system so that women can have somebody to say, how was your day? Do you need anything? How can I help you? And so that's really how that serves as an organization. And personally, as a coach, what I do is if there's a particular aspect in a woman's life where they need assistance, and many times what I have found is that most of my clients need help with time management, because you have so much stuff to do and it's hard to balance it all, right? And figure out how to get it all done. And so that's really where that life assistance aspect comes in, whether it's balancing your time, whether it's, trying to figure out how to keep going when you feel like stopping. And so that's where that inspiration really comes from.
Okay, that's good, because we do need that, because we give.
Yep.
And a lot of times we don't have we don't have that support system of someone being able to pour back into us to help, keep us going.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you also have business help for entrepreneurs. Tell us a little bit about that.
So again, I am, like you will notice, I kind of do a lot, right? But it all falls under that all inspiring umbrella. And so with entrepreneurs, it's there's a term that I use that's called authorpreneur. So where an author is automatically an entrepreneur. But with my organization, Artists Promoting Success, I really expanded the umbrella this year so that we're not just focusing on authors or the literary arts, but we're also focusing on, all the arts. So visual arts, performance arts, all of those as well, because what I found is that entrepreneurs, generically speaking, we all have that same struggle, needing to figure out how to market and promote and brand and sell whatever it is that we have, whether it be a product or a service. And so I go live typically on Facebook on Thursdays with what is called Aspects of Entrepreneurship. And I also have a YouTube channel, Artists Promoting Success, where I kind of do something similar. So what I do is I offer tips, and this is just for free. If you're an entrepreneur, you can tune in, and I'm going to be providing some type of information. Now, if they want anything more specific, where you want me to help you to maybe construct your own business plan, if you need help, tossing back and forth ideas, then they can hire me on personally as a coach. Or if they want to even join my all inspiring community, I give weekly success tips there. And that's, it's $10 a month to be a part of that. So it's really nothing that you're paying when you look at getting weekly success tips, and then you get to interact with the other people that's in the group. And any activities that I do, then people that's a part of that community always get to know about it first. And most times they're getting discounted prices. So it's really just about having services and products that's specifically for the entrepreneur, specifically that entrepreneur that's just getting started in the game.
Okay, that's good. That's really good. And we'll make sure we share those links on Sisters Creative Media, across our social media, and in our group as well, so that if there's anyone there who would like to be a part and get more information, they can contact you there.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Now, you are an expert. I consider you an expert because you're a publisher, you're a published author, you're seasoned. So you have the information that you're going to share with us today is coming from, your own experience and what you do with your own clients. So How long have you been a publisher?
Okay, let's back it up and do this. So as a publisher, to first answer a question, I have been a publisher since 2014. So that's a little over 6 years.
Okay.
I have been in the literary game for a decade, right? So I started out, as you said, as a published author. Now I am well over a dozen titles published. As you said, one is a national award winner. I have an international award winner. I have been recognized. We hail from Chicago. And so I've been recognized by CBS Chicago as one of 5 indie authors and publishers to watch out for. I've also been recognized by Navy Pier, honored me back, I want to say in 2012 or 2013. And so, as you're saying, this is something that I've been doing for a while. This isn't just, a fly-by-night type of a thing. And so I really take it to heart, and I value what it is that I do. So yes, as a publisher specifically, I started APS Publishing back in 2014.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So as a publisher, what are 5 essentials that every author must have?
Well, first of all, you have to have the ability to be taught, right? Many times authors come out and they simply want to publish a book because someone they know published a book, not necessarily because they know anything about the industry, not because they even really have a passion for it, just because they look at it as being a get rich quick type of opportunity. So I say, number one, you have to be coachable, be willing to learn. Number two, and this is in no particular order, you have to be passionate. You have to have passion about what you're doing, because you have to pay your dues in this game, right? So there is more the exception than the rule when you come out making $1 million. You come out being a best-selling author, or come out being an award-winning author. Many authors or artists on whatever level, you have to come out and pay your dues. And so if you're getting into this game because you think, hey, I got this great idea and it's going to take me to the top overnight, understand that most overnight successes, it takes about 15 to 20 years to become an overnight success. So I would say passion, I would say be coachable, I would say have great ideas, right? A lot of times people will have a desire to write, but they don't have anything to write, right? So it's like, I like it as a hobby, but there's a difference when you are getting into this as an author, where this is going to be your profession. You see what I'm saying? So now you are an entrepreneur. So you want to make sure that you are able to produce content, because you will find that once you become an author, it's beyond just producing that book. Now you have to be able to have content because you need to promote yourself, or because you're doing interviews, or, so it's a lot of different ground that you're going to be covering that's beyond the words that's in the book that you have been able to publish. So I would say something else that you need to have is perseverance. So along with passion, you have to be willing to stand the test of time. I know a lot of authors that I started out with back in 2010, we came out at the same time, and they attended a couple of expos or did a festival here and there, and they didn't get the money they thought they were going to get. And so they're like, you know what, never mind, I'm going back to my 9 to 5, And so really what helps to position you as an expert is your experience. And so if you come in today and you gone tomorrow, you have not given yourself time to really experience anything. You have to kind of go through the bitter and the sweet, right? You got to be able to experience the highs and the lows to really understand what the industry is about. And so, and if you notice, none of the things that I'm saying really have anything to do with money, because if you have these attributes, the money and the ability to do it, that will come. So like I said, passion, perseverance, being coachable, having ideas. And the fifth essential, I would say, is just having a great attitude, because nobody wants to work with somebody who is arrogant, or who, so nobody, you can't tell me anything, or I'm just like a Debbie Downer. I'm always negative. I don't have anything positive to contribute, because you will find, and this, Latrice, when you are in this world, you have to be able to network. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know who you're going to meet that will introduce you to the person that you need to know, or they themselves may be the person that you need to know. But if you come into it with the wrong attitude, you're not going to get very far.
That is very true. Very true. That is very true. Now, we've seen a flooding of indie authors into the literary market. What advice do you give indie authors who self-publish?
Know the industry. Know the industry. And when I say that, there is a huge difference between knowing the industry and knowing how to hit the publishing button, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of times what happen. People will find, avenues such as KDP or Lulu or Vivanti, which are all different self-publishing platforms, and they feel like because they can go to these websites and they can upload their manuscript and they can hit the publish button and then boom, it's on Amazon, that's all that it is to this industry. And there is so much more if you want to succeed. I mean, like, even in terms of knowing what a book should look like, knowing how to format, making sure that you have an editor. All of these are really kind of essentials. We were just talking about essentials, but when you are publishing, editing is an essential. And a lot of times because they can just go ahead and hit the publish button themselves, they feel like that they can just delete and eliminate all of these parts of the process. So editing, formatting, making sure that your book stands out from the crowd. All of those are things that make up the publishing process. But as a whole, know the industry. Don't just jump in because you want to produce this one book this one time and that's it. Value the industry that you're becoming part of.
Absolutely. Do your homework.
Absolutely. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh my goodness. Get me started. What are mistakes that you see with any authors that they make that you don't see with the traditional authors that go with a boutique publisher or a traditional publisher?
Absolutely. I kind of hit on it a little bit. It's really, a lot of it is to do with the actual appearance of the book, right? Mm-hmm. So like when you go through a traditional publishing company, then they have all these big departments, right? So they have a marketing department, they have an editing department. So they have teams that they're doing all of this work for you. Whereas when you're doing it yourself, then it's really all about what you're able to do or what you can pay for. And so that's when a lot of times indies start skipping steps. So, like, I don't need a custom cover, or I don't need to have an editor because I don't want to pay all of that, or I don't really have to know about formatting. It can just look like an essay that's typed with the cover around it. Even knowing how a book should look. There are many times that, I do book reviews if I don't do them every week, at least 2 or 3 Tuesdays out of the month, I am doing book reviews for indie authors. And 2 of the things that I'm always preaching about, besides editing, 2 of the things I'm preaching about is making sure that there is a synopsis on the back of the book. I cannot tell you how many authors publish a book and there's no information on the back. And there's a difference between a synopsis and an endorsement. Just because someone else said your book is good, that is not the same as letting people know what your book is about. And so, yes. Exactly. And so you really want to use that back cover to sell your book and not assume that people want to go through reading 10, 20, 30 chapters without even knowing what it's about. So the synopsis, I would say, and then the other one that's really big for me is a table of contents, a book that I'm going to be reviewing tomorrow. And, and this is no shade because I'm going to say it live on air as well, because what I do when I do my reviews is really more so as a teaching tool also, because I get a lot of indie authors or aspiring authors to tune in. There is no table of contents. And I always tell authors, especially if your book is on the longer side. So if you have over, say, 8, 10 chapters, you definitely want to have a table of contents, because that is your reader's way of navigating through your book. And so those are some things that if the book was traditionally published, those things would not be ignored, because they understand that those are pertinent to any book.
Oh, okay. I got you. Would you recommend a table of contents for like a short story or a novella?
Not necessarily. It depends on, again, it depends on how long it is.
Oh,
so
okay.
for me, like if it's a children's book, a story book, something like that, then I don't think that necessitates a table of contents. If it's something that's like 24, because it needs to be at least 24 pages to be a published book. So if it's between 24 to 30 pages, then not necessarily, because realistically, it's more a guide. You see what I'm saying? You still can benefit from having one, but it's not as detrimental, because people who are avid readers will flip through, 12, 15 pages and you're just about done with that type of a book. But if you have a bigger book, something that's 150, 250, 300 pages, and we're looking at 25, 35, 40 chapters, that can kind of be I don't want to necessarily say it's a turnoff, more so than you're doing yourself a disservice, because every reader does not necessarily read in chronological order. Or like if I'm reading through your table of contents, maybe I'm getting tired of the book, or maybe the book is good and I want to jump ahead. The table of contents lets me know where I want to jump to. You see what I'm saying? And so by not having that, then you're really kind of doing yourself a disservice, because the reader may not want to go all the way through the end without knowing what could be lying ahead.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that I whenever I'm in a bookstore, or even if I'm surfing online on Amazon or Barnes and Noble, I always go to that back cover so I can see what that book is about. That's like my go-to before I look at anything else. I'm gonna read the back of that book.
Absolutely. And so many authors, you'd be surprised. So between doing the book review and, I had the bookstore for about 5 years. So I'm always in contact with books, and you'd be surprised how many books have blank back covers. And I cringe every time, because unless it's just like an empty journal or a coloring book or something like that, if this is a book of substance, there is no way that this book should be published without something on that back cover, because, and I typically advise that there should be a synopsis as well as about the author, a little blurb about the author, because what that does is that gives the author an opportunity to tell people, why should you listen to me about this topic? Because most topics are pretty much common. There is nothing new under the sun, but what angle, what am I bringing to this? And then the synopsis is going to really tell you what you're going to find and why you should read this book. And when you don't have it, I'm just going, it's a blank cover. Then I'm like, I don't really know.
It down.
You put it down. Absolutely.
I put it down. I'm like, oh, I can't read this.
Never mind.
See, yeah, absolutely. Now, how important is it for authors to invest in establishing and building their brand as an author?
Girl, I cannot even express how important it is. Like, one of the things I do with my clients via APS, like if you are going to publish with me, we have an entire consultation that's simply dedicated to building your literary blueprint, right? Because I need to know, so one of the first questions I ask is, what is your why? So like, what is it that you're looking to get out of this experience? And if I have a client, because I have clients that publish for all different reasons, and I have had clients that publish just because it's like a hobby and they just want to do it and they're not looking to make any money from it, and that's fine. But when I have clients that tell me, oh, they're looking for this to be either part-time or full-time income, then that means that we have to have a plan, because success does not just happen. That's right. So it is so important that they are able to establish, and this is even before the book is published, and this isn't necessarily part of your question, but I have to put it out there. So many authors wait until they have the book in their hand before they start talking about it. People should already know at least 3 to 6 months in advance, at least, that you are embarking upon writing a book. And they're like, well, what if I don't? What if I don't? Okay, it's no such thing as promoting too early. You can start promoting a year early. You can start, and your job is to just keep it going. And so you have to understand that you are a brand, and depending on what the content of your book is, you and your book may identify as one, or it could just be one of the things that's under your umbrella, right? So there is never too early to start investing that time. So that's the main investment is time. Start to invest that time as early on as possible. Sometimes I'll even tell the author, when you got the unction to write the book, start talking about it. And then, especially in this day and age with social media, let them go on the journey with you. When you have individuals that feel that they're a part of that journey, then they're more likely to support you in what it is you're going through up until, you know what I'm saying, like all throughout the journey, from maybe you get stuck and they can give you some ideas. And then once you have it going, you can get some pre-orders in. So it's a lot of different reasons why you want to let people know about what it is that you're doing, and start building that brand as an author as early as possible.
Yep, and building that audience too. Because one of the things I did before I even wrote my book was I blogged. So
yes.
And I shared little snippets, little scenes from, my upcoming book, as along the journey. So that is a way that you can bring people in. And
Absolutely.
That was a blessing to me, that I did that. But building that brand, that is so important.
Key. Absolutely.
It is. And also, and I'm pretty sure you'll probably agree with me, once you become an author, your social media platforms, you have to take a tone of, you have to be careful what you put on your social media as an author.
Child, let me tell you, I don't care what type of, look, you got me going, look, I don't care what type of, once you are established as a business, so whether you're an author, whether you are a singer, you make a product, once you have let the world know that I am a businessman or businesswoman, then you can't be, and let me just go ebonic, you can't be ratchet. You can't be, 1 minute you cussing somebody out and then the next minute come and support me in my, you are your brand, right?
That's
and
right.
So you are allowed to think whatever you want to think, but what you voice, what you put out there on the internet, it's going to always be there. I don't care if you delete it. It's somewhere that somebody can find it. And so if ever you're feeling a certain way, then just think twice before you hit them keys. Don't just hold.
That's right.
Call somebody on the phone and vent to them on the phone where the conversation can be forgotten. But you put something up, and let me tell you, especially when you're doing like Facebook, because Facebook has this little feature that's called memories. And I thank God that I've always put out positive things. But my goodness, can you imagine if you started out ratchet and then you 3-4 years later, and then Facebook started reminding you of all these different posts that you had, and you see what I'm saying?
Yes,
so you have to be very conscious of the image that you are setting, because I tell people all the time, success should never be on accident. You should be preparing to be successful. And so that doesn't mean that you have to quote unquote water yourself down, or that you are just trying to be a people pleaser. But it does mean that you should know your brand. You should know what you are trying to portray, and make sure that you're making a conscious effort to do just that.
Absolutely. Because your brand will affect your audience. If you put out there, if you put out there negative energy,
girl, it's coming
you may
back.
lose some folks. There may be folks that don't want to work with you. They don't want to collaborate with you because they're like, nah, I can't.
I don't want that on my brand.
I want that on my brand. And you know what? And I'll be honest, I'm one of those people. If I see how you cut up on social media, and then you come to me, want to, collaborate with me or even be on the show, I'll be like, no, I can't do that.
Can't chance it. Exactly. And especially when you put in so much time. I remember, when I first started out, and I would do these, because this is when Blog Talk Radio was real hot. So before you had, all these lives with Facebook and all of this stuff, Blog Talk Radio, and I'm not sure, I know that they still do. It still is, because
I have a show on there.
So Blog Talk used to be the go-to, right? Because I had a Blog Talk radio show for about 4 years. So Blog Talk Radio was the place to be. But I remember I would go to certain shows, and I'm not going to say the names. And when I would listen to, just the way that they prep, and I hear them, they cussing, they're in the back, and I'm like, ooh, because that ain't my brand. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes with authors, they're so excited about an opportunity that they don't stop to evaluate, is this a good opportunity for my brand? Every opportunity is not a good opportunity, and all money ain't good money. And that's what you authors really, and entrepreneurs in general, need to know at the onset. Like, yes, know your why, but also know your worth, right? And understand that when you're getting your brand established, like, you don't want to just accept anything and be willing to partner with anything, because that too, like you said, can come back and it can haunt you. So just be very conscious of who you are doing business with as well.
Okay, now these are some great tips, guys. Y'all need to really, listen to these. Now I have a question, another question. This regards literary agents. Is it true if an indie author really wants to reach the bigger markets that they need to have a literary agent? Because I was having a conversation with someone, and she told me, oh, I got to get a literary agent. I'm done being an indie author.
No, see, okay, let's say this, because I got to try to figure out how to give you the condensed version. The short answer is no. The short answer is no, you don't have to have a literary agent. So for those of your listeners who are paying attention and writing notes, understand what a literary agent does. So a literary agent is the person who is responsible for shopping your manuscript around, because there are none of the big five. So when we say big five publishing houses, we're talking about Penguin, Random House, you're talking Simon and Schuster, so all these bigger houses, they are not going to accept your manuscript unsolicited, meaning you can't just send them something, they're going to take it. So there's a protocol in the literary industry. And so having a literary agent is who you need in order to professionally and officially shop your manuscript. So if you are trying to get signed with a traditional company, so that's how I want to kind of phrase it, because your question was if they want to reach bigger markets. No, they don't. If they are trying to get signed with a traditional publisher, then yes, they do. So you can reach huge markets being an indie author, right? But it depends on knowing what you're good at. There are a lot of independent authors who, because again, understand when you self-publish, this is a DIY industry. Do it yourself. Yourself is publishing it. Yourself is promoting it. Yourself is building the brand. So you have to do all of that. And many authors, they find it to be overwhelming, like especially if they're that author that say, hey, all I know how to do is write. I am just a traditional author and I write books. I need somebody else to do this marketing stuff and this promotion stuff. And I don't sell books. I don't do. So if you have I don't do that attitude and I don't want to learn that attitude, then, because remember earlier when I was saying, when you were talking about the essentials and I was saying how you got to be coachable, you got to be teachable. So if you don't want to learn, then yes, you're either going to need a literary agent or you're going to need a bankroll, so that way you can pay to have all these people, because these jobs need to be done. It makes no sense to publish a book and nobody know about it. So in order for people to know about it, it has to be marketed. You have to run promotions. You have to do sales. All this is a part of the business plan that we were kind of talking about earlier, and building that brand. All of these things have to happen in order to get your book out. You don't just, okay, well, I published a book. That's great, but nobody knows that it's there. And so many authors feel like just because it's published on Amazon, that Amazon is the
promoting it.
It's not. You understand what I'm saying? It's just another platform. And so let me wrap it up there, because I could go on all day with that. But the short answer to your question is they can totally reach bigger markets on their own, depending on what type of campaign they have going on, depending on their marketing plan, their promotional strategies. You don't have to have a literary agent for that. But if you are trying to get signed with a traditional company, specifically one of the big five, then yes, you need a literary agent for that.
Okay. Awesome. So what literary advice do you give new authors? And is it the same advice that you give seasoned authors?
It depends on what the advice is. So, right, because there are certain things that's just good for everybody to know, like I literally know authors all over the world, right? I have been blessed where I have traveled the country. I have connections literally with authors in the UK, in Australia, in different parts of South America. So I have been fortunate, but again, I didn't just start this. I've been doing this for over a decade. One of the things that both new and seasoned authors often need is encouragement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because whether you just started or you've been in this game for a while, you're going to hit that bump where you question, why am I doing this? You wonder, what's the point of doing this? You've put together all of these different plans and they might fall flat on their face. And so you need that. And so I don't care how long you've been in the game, you're always going to need that word. And it may not be every day, it may not be a constant word, but you're going to find the time where you need to be reminded of why you got involved with this mess to begin with. That's how you're going to feel. But just generically for new authors, I think a lot of what I have been saying throughout the broadcast is really the advice, right? So just again, knowing the industry, don't feel like that is going to happen overnight. Be sure to connect with a mentor, find someone who can help you in this thing, and know that there is no such thing as an island to success. No man is an island to himself, right? So it's like you cannot do everything by yourself. Even when I was explaining of how it's a DIY industry, yeah, you may choose to do the work yourself, but in order to be successful, you're gonna have to collaborate with other people. Like how you and I, we are doing, this is a collaborative project, right? So once this thing gets done, then you're not going to be the only one that's promoting it. You're going to be promoting it on your pages. I'm going to be promoting it on my pages. So that's the thing that we call cross promotion. It's a joint venture where we both can benefit. So that's the reason why you want to make sure that you are constantly connecting with people. Don't, you can't be the days of being an old school author where you just hide in your room to yourself, write the book, hit public. Not again, if you're wanting for this thing to get out, you're going to have to establish connections, whether they are virtual or in person. You're going to have to establish connections and connect with other people. So that's really one of the things that is good for both new and seasoned authors too, because sometimes seasoned authors can get set in their ways and feel like that, what they do is all that's to be done, and they may turn off new ideas. But always be open to learning, always be open to hearing what someone else is saying, whether you implement it or not. Be open to listening to what someone else has to say.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Absolutely. So with that being said, what type of services do you offer at APS to authors?
So with APS, our mission is really to educate indies on the business of being entrepreneurs. Because again, as we've been stating throughout the broadcast, a lot of authors come out and they feel that being an author solely means writing a book. They don't have to, I figured out this KDP thing and I hit publish, so now I'm done. And I tell authors so many times, you really just begun, so now you actually have the product that needs to be sold. So with APS, we educate authors through our monthly network meetings. So every month we have meetings, and obviously because of this pandemic, we used to just do in-person meetings, and then periodically we do conference calls, but now we've implemented the whole Zoom thing, right? So you don't just have to be out of Chicago in order to benefit from these monthly meetings. And the whole purpose of the meetings is to give you effective tips to market, promote, and sell your product, whatever your product may be. So we have our network, our monthly network meetings. And then we also, I do editing, we do publishing, we have consultations. So there may be times where you have no idea where to go next. And wherever you are in your journey, you might have hit a the wall and you need a quick word of advice, I have consultations. And then I also do literary coaching. So for people who want to write a book, but they don't know how to start, or they started writing a book and they've gotten stuck in the process. So I have the literary coaching services as well. And most authors, regardless of whether you are under my umbrella or not, we have a tour. We do an annual tour. And so that gives you a way of getting the exposure also, because again, the mission is to educate indies on the business of being entrepreneurs, as well as giving platforms for exposure. So, you know, we do the tour as a way of giving you that platform. And there's a lot of other things. People can definitely go to the website. We are APS.com, WEAREAPS.com, and they'll be able to see everything that we do. But we have an annual book awards, a contest, and then the awards gala that's typically held in August. But again, because of Corona, we had to cancel this year's gala, but the 2020 winners will be honored at the 2021 gala. You've come to the gala, so you know it's normally a great event. We have about 200 people to come out just to celebrate indie authors. And so there are a lot of different things that we offer. We have a writer society. So again, go to the website, go to the website and look and see all the various. So regardless of if you are an aspiring writer, if you're a novice writer or seasoned writer, if you are a writer or desire to be, I have something for you through APS.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Make sure you check her out. And I will drop the links in all of my social media so that my audience can make sure they go and click and check you out.
Absolutely.
Now,
thank you.
You're welcome. Now, what are the benefits of an author working with APS?
So two of the main benefits that really come to mind, which is one of the reasons why I established it, is that immediate mentorship, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons why I started APS back in 2013, well, it was a lot of authors that were encouraging me to start it. Let's put it like that. So a lot of people were like, you need to have your own organization. You need to start an organization, because again, keep in mind, I'm traveling all over the country, and different authors will see things that I'm doing, or, you know, I kind of came out early being a national award-winning author. And then, so my first book was a national award winner, and then my fifth book was an international award winner. So I'm the type of person, when people ask me questions, as you can see, I'm very transparent. You know, I'm not that type of person that's going to give you, tell you 10% of what you ask and then charge you $1,000 to get the other 90%. If you ask me a question, I'm gonna give you what I got. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so, like, so many authors were like, you have no idea the stuff that you just told me. I just got finished paying $5,000. I just got finished doing a 1 week retreat, or, you know, and so they would tell me, you need to just start this organization. And so I had prayer about it, because again, anytime you're trying to help somebody, I never take that lightly. And so I said all that to say, when I got started, all this information that I'm giving you guys and all this advice, I didn't have a me when I got started. So there were a lot of mistakes that I made along the way. There was a lot of unnecessary money that I spent. And so I wanted to have an organization that would provide guidance for new authors, like get them before they have gotten scammed, before they've gotten discouraged, and kind of teach them the way, so that way they don't have to make the same mistakes that I made. And so one of the benefits is that, especially when you're just getting started, even if you have yet to publish a book, if you are trying to learn the business of being an entrepreneur, you don't have to spend billions of dollars to get great advice. And then, because especially if you're looking for the literary world, because I've done this, I've done it a few times over, then, you know, you get that access to someone who truly cares. And beyond me, it's a network of authors, right? So now you get to connect with other like-minded individuals. I always laugh and say that writers, and I think creatives in general, so regardless of what type of creative you are, we have our own brand of cray cray, right? Like, so
Yes.
we have that, we'll wake up in the middle of the night, 2:00 in the morning, ooh, and you know, you have that ooh, 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 that if you're not a writer or if you're not a creative, you can't have a clue as to why you think that we're overreacting because we finally got the greatest title for the book, or a good chapter title, or now I know what that character's name should be, or now I know what I'm going to take. And so you get that excitement. And then when you're in a circle, which most creators are, they are in circles with non-creators. So then non-creators kind of frown upon you because they don't get your world. When you join APS, then you have an entire network of individuals, and again, not just limited to Chicago, who get your crazy, and they can help to mentor you. And so many of the authors who have come in through APS end up collaborating together. They end up, you know, moving forward and being. So for me, APS is like a training ground, and there are many authors who choose to stay, and then there are authors that grow. But I just try to really pour into authors, show them their potential, and give them the steps that they need to go and walk in their purpose.
Ooh, that is good. And you know what? And I understand the creatives in the wee hours of the night when you wake up and you write a whole, chapter out your sleep.
I'm trying to tell you. And then other people like, really? You couldn't have did that at 9:00 in the morning? I didn't have the idea at 9:00 in the morning. I had a dream. Something happened in my dream that sparked this idea. That's why I go to bed with notebooks either in my bed or right next to my table, girl. And so then you can have a little light that you can turn on, or if you're like me, you got that notebook and a pen, and maybe it's legible or not. When I wake up in the morning, for real, but it's enough that's written where I can understand what I wrote so I can carry on. And so if I would have just laid down in the middle of the night and slept through that ooh, ooh, ooh moment, you wouldn't have. I'd still be stuck.
Yep. See, we get it. We get it.
I'm trying to tell you, we got that brand, that brand of crazy that it's our own brand of cray, but we totally understand it. And so I've had so many authors tell me, oh my God, thank you for starting this. I'm so glad I can finally connect with somebody that gets what I'm talking about, because nobody else understood, or people were making me feel like I was crazy, or like it was something wrong with me. It's not anything wrong with you other than you're just surrounded by people that don't get it. So come on to APS, because we get your brand of cray.
Yes, we do. Especially when you get, I got my mojo back.
Yes. Now I'm ready to write again. Absolutely.
And that's been me. I was like, ooh, I'm writing every day. Ooh, thank you, Jesus.
Yes.
Oh, yes. This is perfect. You guys, make sure, if you're just an aspiring writer or you are an indie writer and you're stuck, reach out to APS, WEAREAPS.com. Make sure you reach out. Okay, so with all this, what is your takeaway that you want authors, aspiring writers, and entrepreneurs to take away from our call today?
You know what? I try to say this as often as I can. You can do it. It is possible. Understand, I don't care how crazy it may seem. It is possible. I think that so many times people undervalue their dreams, or because they're not around enough dreamers, people frown upon dreamers, but it has to be a dream so you can know what you're working to turn into reality, right? Yep. And so a lot of times, if you're around traditionalists, people who only work 9 to 5s, people who've never written, they are, right-brained, or, so like when you're around people who are not creative, then it makes you feel like you have to shrink and dummy down or be something that you're not. Be who God called you to be. Walk in the purpose that He called you to walk in, and do it unapologetically so. He will connect you with the people that will help you go to your next level if you let them. So that's really the thing. I don't care what level you are. So I don't care if you're an author, entrepreneur, whatever. Don't be afraid to dream, and understand that it can become reality.
Absolutely. Woo. Amen. Gotta say amen there.
Girl, I'm trying to tell you, going to church.
So let all of our listeners know how they can contact you and learn more about APS as well as All Inspiration Coach.
Yes. So definitely you can go on any type of social media. So whether you're going to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Periscope, you can find me across the board at APS, the letter N, TERNATIONAL, or APS International. On YouTube, we have a channel, but it's called Artists Promoting Success. So you have to type out what the APS stand for. It's Artists with an S, Artists Promoting Success. On Facebook, under my regular page, it's just my name. I don't have all of these different titles and all that. You can just find me at Toneal M. Jackson. Now, we've been giving out the website for APS all night. I also want to say this: if there are any individuals who are interested in writing, and it doesn't matter what you want to write, but you really want to just hone your craft, you want to be able to know how to do it a little bit better, shape it into what it takes to writing a book, I extend to them my open enrollment. We are now enrolling for the September quarter for our Writer Society. And I'll give you that information too, Latrice. I forgot to give you that. But it's only $300 for the entire quarter. It's a 12-week course, and it's offered 3 different days. So you can either do Tuesday afternoons from 1 to 3, Thursday evenings from 6 to 8, or Saturday mornings from 10 to 12. It's 12 weeks. And by the end of that class, you will have learned how to get your chapters together, how to write your introduction, your synopsis. We're going to go into teaching you how to make book covers. So that way you don't have to just use the templates that, KDP will give you and you're looking like everybody else, but we'll show you how to do custom covers. And, and there are a lot of other questions that you'll be able to ask. And so they can either do a one-time payment of $300, which will come with an incentive of doing that. Everyone who does the one-time payment will be eligible to get a free publishing package at the end of the class. And then you can do a monthly payment. If the $300 is too much, you can pay $120 every month. Or if that's too much, you can do $35 a week. So regardless of how you want to pay, they can get in touch with me. Again, go through the website, weareaps.com, and under that Writers Society tab, all of that information is there. And then the other thing, which may be a bit confusing though, if they just want coaching, they can, the All Inspiring Coach, that's a website too. It's allinspiringcoach.com. And honestly, if you go to that website, you'll be able to access everything else. So if you go to allinspiringcoach.com, there'll be a link for APS. There'll be, information about I'm Glad to Be a Woman. Everything that I do is found through that Inspiring Coach. But primarily, I really will just direct people to that weareaps.com, because we have really been doing a lot of talking geared toward the author and the entrepreneur and the writers and stuff. So we want to make sure that if they didn't remember anything else, take away going to www.weareaps.com.
Oh, awesome. And one quick question, on follow-up question on that. Is the writing shop just for aspiring writers? What if there's someone out there who, they've written a book already, but they feel like they still need to hone some stuff? Could they take the class?
Absolutely. Going back to one of those things, those 5 essentials, when I was saying always be teachable. So you can always, if you are like I am, I always say I'm a student of life. So my children can teach me something. You see what I'm saying? And so if you are that person and maybe you did the first book and maybe you didn't like the book, or you got stuck in a particular element, you definitely can sign up. So it is not solely for aspiring writers. Anyone who who wants to learn more about writing, who wants to learn about crafting a book, getting all of those elements together, they would definitely benefit from taking this class. And I definitely want to make it where it was affordable enough for anyone to do it, because and what people will learn even when they go to my website is that I really try to help people at all costs to finish their dreams, turn their dreams into a reality, and not make it where money has to be that hindrance. And so, no, I'm not a nonprofit, so I can't do everything for free. But
Right.
most of the services that you see that I offer, I mean, you're not going to get it any better. And especially the fact that you're being instructed by a national and international award-winning author who's really working with you hands-on, guiding you through these processes. And anyone who has done any of the webinars I've ever offered know that I over-deliver, right? And so
Okay.
I definitely encourage anyone who wants to learn about writing. And again, this isn't a particular book. So if you have your own ideas and stuff in that, bring them. And, depending on your level of commitment, you may very well be ready to publish by the time we're done with the class.
Okay. 12 weeks. That's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we start in September. So they have, all summer we have that open enrollment. And like I say, I'll shoot you that promo card. So that way, if you want to push that, and that way, anyone who is interested, you can sign up now. You want to reserve your seat and just do it weekly, you can reserve your seat for $35. If you want to do it monthly, when you make your monthly payments for $120 per month, then you're eligible to receive a free chapter editorial critique, right? And then if you do the quarterly payment, then one person of all those who are making the quarterly payment, one person will win a free pitch. So I'm trying to give people incentives to come on, let's get this done. If you want to publish a book, not only are we going to help you sculpt it, but we'll ultimately publish you for free.
Okay. Hey, don't get no better than this.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Well, Toneal, thank you so much for coming on the show today, dropping these nuggets, sharing your expertise, your wisdom, and your experience. It is greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much for having me. This was just like a conversation between friends. I really enjoyed myself.
I enjoyed you too. And for all those aspiring authors and current authors and business entrepreneurs, if you don't have a website or if you need help with your branding, Sisters Creative Media, we are here to help you get that set up and established. So come on over to Sisters Creative Media and we will help you today. Thanks again, Toneal Jackson from APS and Offspring Coach. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All righty. Have a great night, everybody.